back to the cantina. Sorry I was a little late. I couldn't find a good thumbnail. Anyway, I want to talk a little bit about something that's been popping up. I gotta grab my other phone. On Twitter. Apparently, Raylos, well, shippers, are now shipping Obi-Wan Kenobi and Leia. I'm not talking about older, adult Leia. I'm talking about 10-year-old Leia. Before we get on, Disney's back. I want to say something. This is the laws of unintended consequences. This is what happens when people are not called out for their stupidity in the culture. Okay. Do I think it's Disney's fault? No. No. Do I think that, look, these are people who ship Han and Luke. These are people who ship Han and Lando. These are people who ship Leia and Winter. And of course, the intentional hint about Leia and Haldo. Okay, so the idea, let me sit down, that this is unusual, it's not. And while it kind of is unexpected and takes my breath away, it also doesn't. And the reason why is because, look, we live in a society that's very sick right now. And a lot of those sick people go on Twitter. And a lot of those sick people, see things in the world that aren't there and magically assume sexuality. Okay. Shipping in general is someday someone's gonna have to explain to me where it came from, because I don't remember it when I was in grade school. If you watched Days of Our Lives like I did when I was in high school, you had Bo and oh God, what was her name? And Roman and Marlena, and Steve and whoever, and people really didn't ship. And of course, there are always these stupid love triangles, and everybody, hey Joe, had their favorites, but the fuck? So somebody is gonna have to explain it to me. I think Mazarus once tried to explain it to me, because I think that he saw it in at theforce.net in the fan fiction area. But these people, these are sick people. These are very mentally deranged people. These are people who actually think if guys are best friends that they have sex, right? These are guys that actually think that women who are best friends fuck. This is, they don't understand friendship, okay? They've literally gone overboard, okay? And this is a really dark, disturbing area of our culture that gets to go on Twitter and do whatever they want. And no one in law enforcement, they'd rather try to embarrass Donald Trump and, threaten taxpayers who don't agree with them politically than actually go after pedophiles. And there's a movement to make pedophilia part of the LGBTQ plus community. Okay. The gays don't want them. Okay. But there are sick people out there. Look, when you have Barbara Streisand talking about pedophilia and saying, well, it's just another way to express oneself sexually. She said that. She said that. Okay? So, yeah, Hollywood's got a problem. Because that's a big voice saying something really disturbing. Yeah, it is. This is where it comes from. And I don't know why they do it. You know, I don't know why they need to shit all over everything. But the fact of the matter is, when I read those tweets in there on Twitter, sorry guys, but they put an Amber Alert and it stops everything in your tracks. Okay. If I'm out driving around later, I'll look for them anyway, because I've got it on both phones. Anyway, the thing about it is what they're doing I mean, Obi-Wan is asked by Bail Organa to go and rescue Leia. Bail can't do it. He can't send his guys out to do it, even though they probably could have and gotten her back. Okay. He sent Obi-Wan Kenobi. And Obi-Wan goes out, rescues Leia, and becomes an alternate father figure for her. It's kind of like an uncle. Okay, it's kind of like a really good teacher, or the guy that lives next door that teaches kid how to kick a soccer ball, or offers advice in fish hook knot tying. Obi-Wan is like no one Leia's ever met. She's never met a Jedi. She's never met a Jedi like Obi-Wan. Okay. And because he puts his life on the line and suffers for her, she's has a lot of gratitude. She's beholden to him. She's a little kid, okay? So he's way up there on a pedestal, which is fine. And she learns a lot. She learns a lot from him. She also learns a lot from Tala, okay? And the thing that bothers me so much is that these perverts, these sick perverts, have to ruin it. It's like there's nothing sacred anymore. Okay, first off, they want to destroy childhood. Okay, you ask any guy who spent, any special operator who spent any amount of time in Afghanistan, they will tell you about the Afghan dancing boys. I forgot what they're called, but lots of times you will see boys wearing makeup and jewelry in Afghanistan, and they will be kept by the head of a clan or whatever as, think about it, that's pedophilia. That's sick. And in modern society, that's not normal. And it should not be acceptable for any reason whatsoever. Okay? And yet, here we are. There we go. There you have it. Okay? And the problem we have is with big YouTubers like Ryan Cannell and others, is they're going to blame Disney for it. Now, I can blame Disney's hiring practices when cast members get a raise. Florida is very good at doing a sting once in the fall, and that's probably coming up, where they put a trap out for pedophiles in the community. And you usually see public school teachers, coaches, Boy Scout leaders, heads of different denominational churches, and Disney cast members, at least one or two, every year. That happens. Is Disney at fault for that? Maybe their hiring practices should be looked at better, okay? But you're gonna have to understand is people like that put themselves in a position where they can prey on little kids. A predator will always put himself in her or herself in a place of opportunity. Okay. And it's really interesting to me how unbelievably tolerant some of these people are. Like, there was one, and it's the thumbnail of this video. Okay. But he put a disgusting comment on it. Mazer sent it to me, freaking out. He was so pissed. I looked at it and I said, okay, I need to go look for this. So I found another pervert who commented on it. And I'm like, there's a problem here. Again, law of unintended consequences. I don't think it is the Walt Disney Corporation's policy to float this kind of behavior. Okay, now, the gay people I know are not for it. They don't like it. They're almost more angry about it than we are, that pedophiles are trying to worm their way into their community. And I don't really care about their community. But what I find fascinating is when you peel back the onion, a lot of those people are where they're at because of somebody that was a pedophile or a groomer pulled them out when they were little kids. Okay, this is where it starts. Now you've got these people are shipping Obi-Wan and little Leia, 10-year-old Leia. And they think it's okay. They think it's okay. Now, the one Twitter account did lock down their account. You can't see what they're saying. I did alert the FBI on Twitter, not that they'll do anything about it, because this is literally, they don't give a shit. Law enforcement doesn't care. And if it's if it's on the internet, it's a federal crime, which is why the FBI goes after these people during like human trafficking stings and when they go after child molesters that are using the internet for pornography and things like that. The FBI shows up because it's a federal crime. It's an interstate crime. If you kidnap someone to take them across state lines, that is a federal felony. Okay. And you're going to go to federal pound me in the ass prison. Okay. But they're not going to put out warning signs to these people because they don't care. They don't care. And again, yeah, I should have. Maybe ones that actually were illegal. Boy, is it blowing up in their faces. Holy shit. I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, okay, what can we do about this? I don't think Bob Chapek sat down and goes, well, Obi-Wan goes out and rescues Leia. Maybe the shippers will like that. I really fucking don't think so. Okay, I don't think they go to work that day wondering how they can affect a very small minority of felons, okay? Which is what they are. And, I remember what a doctor saying, the only thing you can do with these people is chemical castration. I know what you could do with them. It involves a 9mm or a 45 hollow point, all right? I mean that. I think anybody who touches a kid should be fair game, but it's the law of unintended consequences. Now, I am going to blame somebody. I'm going to blame Kathy Kennedy and Ryan Johnson for diving headfirst into the Raylo shipping insanity. Okay, why am I going to blame them? I blame them because When I looked at Star Wars before that shit started, Star Wars was a pretty mature community. Okay. We understood what romance was. We understood where the relationships were. And in no way did I know any of this shit was going on. None. I mean, it is, I think the internet is given freedom to a lot of people who are really, really, really mentally ill, very sick and need help. Okay. And, you know, you go on Tumblr and you see Luke and Han shipping. You see, I mean, Jesse Milestone has a friend who wrote a fanfic about a Luke, Han, or a Han, Lando, and Leia festival on Cloud City. It was, and she was proud of it. It was fucking gross. Okay, this is nothing that the franchise needs. I don't care how liberal you are. That is not liberal. That is not liberal at all. That is licentiousness. Okay, you're enslaving yourself in something really dirty and gross. Okay, and I can't remember what the writer's name was, but when the story was described, I'm like, "Ugh." Look, I don't care if you're a fan of Star Wars or not, if you're a fan of the OT, but if you got your rocks off on that, you're not a Star Wars fan, and you need to talk to a psychiatrist, all right, who deals with sexual issues, because that's you. You know, a lot of this comes from the fact that, you know, kids are told that, you know, normal sex is dirty, bad, okay? I mean, look, you're not going to get any idea of normal human sexuality at a university anymore. Okay, so, and these people know there's something wrong with it, but they go along with it. Okay, they go along with it, and it is literally mind-boggling. So you go on Tumblr, you see all the different ships. I mean, heck, I even think there was one. Well, it didn't help that John Kasdan wrote in the Solo script that after Han and Chewie got out of the pit, they took a shower together. You're kind of staring at him going, what the fuck is wrong with you? You fucking sick puppy. You know? But again, with Kenobi, it's the laws of unintended consequences. Now, I don't have Netflix because of cuties. Okay. All right. I don't have Netflix because of cuties. Okay. I do have a lot of other things. But with Netflix, not getting rid of cuties, not understanding how horrified the adults were about it, and not really realizing the kinds of people who gravitate to it, to me, it just proved that they don't need my money, and and that's the way it is. But we have this problem, and now we've got this with Kenobi, because these people don't have a moral compass. They don't understand how disturbing that is, and how it's not part of the story, and how they're putting a target on their backs for people who are horrified. And to me, when I look at it, I just don't understand what to say. I don't know what to say. I really don't. I really don't understand why Twitter tolerates it, but it is the laws of unintended consequences. Like, you know, it was not in anybody's realm of idea it wasn't anybody's idea at all that Ray and Muleface should get together. And then these dried up, hard up, middle-aged women and these weird teenage girls fell in love with Adam Driver. And it's like, these people had never seen a Star Wars movie before. They didn't understand what the original cast meant to people. They didn't understand why people were so horrified by, Kyle Ron and his asinine behavior. And when they started crowing about how cool he was, I literally went, you're not Star Wars fans, because I don't know any that grew up with the movies who liked what they saw in TFA. And I don't know any woman in her right mind that could ever see Ray and Kyle Ron together. But here's the deal. You've got, God, people who are in a place where Twilight is over. They see Kyle Ron attack her and carrying her away like the creature from the Black Lagoon. Or Dracula from 1979, Dracula, Frank Langella, and what's her face? Okay. That's not what that was. And it wasn't supposed to be what that was. JJ never intended that. And when she escapes, after he skull fucks her, basically mind rapes her, that seemed to be really hot for these women. And he murders his father. All these women don't understand how pissed off we were and how much we hated that character. Okay, this is the problem. This is why we can't have nice things anymore. All right? I just am shocked by what I saw in the last 7 years. This Raylo shit. Okay? And the shipping in general, I didn't know about it. I mean, it almost, to me, it broke my heart in some ways to see what these people who are not fans were doing to our beloved characters. Because what they wanted validation. They wanted to feel like they were part of the story. I'm going to tell you something. A lot of the gay shipping was straight women, straight white women. And it's like, what the fuck is going on here? But I'm going to tell you something. Long time ago, my oldest sister, the one I don't talk to anymore because she's a fucking bully, and a hippie, and a mean hippie, not a cool one, but talked about doing something somewhere, and there was a gay kid she knew, and I think it was a booth she was helping run, or maybe it was her booth, and the gay kid was working there, and they closed it down. They were at like a carnival or something down in Florida, and he was like, oh, I can't wait to get done because I have to go out. And all this is about sex. So she's going on and really trying to be curious about why homosexuals are so into sex. You ask a homosexual, why is that? Because men are sexually on all the time. All right, women are not. Okay, and that was the thing. And oh yeah, I believe that. And the thing that made me go, what the fuck are you even talking to this person about this? It made me go, why is he telling anybody? And I had a drag queen every day I was working at a Sears catalog. People call in to order stuff. And it was a job I had during school. And I hated it. And there was a drag queen that basically kind of overrode everybody and told everybody about all of his sick adventures he had on the weekends. To finally, I went up to the manager and I said, "You need to tell him to stop it. I want to work. I don't want to hear about his. I don't want to hear about it." Okay. Now, I get it. They want to feel like they're part of society, and they are. However, I didn't run around telling him about all the boys I met and how many I did on a weekend. Trust me, I was a college girl hot to trot. Okay. All right. Because it was no one else's business. And those people weren't my friends. Okay. And they didn't have any right to know. Okay. So why is this idiot doing that? And this is kind of what this is. Okay. They go in and they take over a franchise, and then anybody going, "God, that's sick," and that's not, keep your head canon to yourself if you're going to do that. They get pissed off and call you an istra and a phobe. And now we've got what they want to call maps infesting Star Wars with Obi-Wan and little Leia. I mean, Disney didn't want this. All right, Disney has trouble with these people. Again, not because of Disney wanting them around, but because a company that caters to families and kids is going to attract that demographic. Okay. What are pedophiles? They are predators of opportunity. Wherever kids congregate, scouts, schools, look, the person sitting in the white van with the milk duds melting on his lap, that's not the guy you got to worry about. It's the gym teacher. Okay. Public schools have a really hard time and a bad time with pedophilia. Did you know that? They would never let you know that. They want to point at the Catholic Church. Okay. All right. Now, granted, it has had trouble with that. I'm not denying that. But when you look at the percentages, statistically, it's very low compared to the public schools. Okay. Very low. All right. But because Catholics are an easy mark, and other denominations have had the issue going on, okay? It is not really a thing to beat any organization over the head with. Hey, Joe. It's just not, because if you're going to cater to families and kids, you have to do your homework when you're hiring people. All right? And again, the pedophile isn't the one sitting in the white wall van with a box of milk duds or Hershey's Kisses melting on his lap. Okay? And it's not, Michael Jackson. Okay? It's the person you least expect it to be. Okay? All right? It really, really is. And the thing about it is we should not be allowing them to make comments like this. And in fact, if they're making comments out loud on Twitter, they should be investigated by law enforcement. Anybody making comments like that should be investigated by law enforcement. Now let's go to the other thing we want to talk about. Boyega. I guess Boyega was, I think he's complaining about Abrams wanting to make him a Jedi. I didn't really think that was a bad thing, but whatever. The thing about all this stuff with Ryan Johnson, and if you look, and Six actually pointed this out last night, on Midnight's Edge After Dark is that the moment that Empire magazine came out, almost every major fan and entertainment rag was talking about it. It's an attention getter. He's trying to get Disney's attention. He's also trying to troll the fans. Cameron said this is just a troll. And really, it's like, he's not going to get his trilogy. Okay, he's not going to get that. He knows it. But look, there is something definitely, it's been quiet. It's been too quiet, in my opinion, since the announcement that Chapek got his contract renewed. Okay, and Kennedy has gone to ground again. Okay, since Star Wars Celebration, she hasn't been anywhere. Okay, and you can blame her for this shipping nonsense. All right, she could have said, "Look, Kylo Ren is a villain, and we're not in the business of making villains romantic heroes." And if someone said, "Well, Anakin Skywalker was a fallen angel," okay, and it's a completely different character, so that doesn't compare at all. Okay, she could have said something and she didn't. All right, in fact, she applauded it. Well, now look what we got. Okay, but I blame her, and I blame Rian Johnson for it. JJ didn't want it, even though it's his fault. It's his fault. He wrote the script. All right, he didn't have to have Kyle Ron kidnap her the way he did. They could have come up with a completely different idea. All right. The fact of the matter is, the more I think about the sequel trilogy, the more absolutely outraged I am, and the more offended I am. And now we've got the people who are shipping Reylo, shipping a 51-year-old man and a 10-year-old girl. Okay, and whose fault is that? Well, their fault, first of all, for thinking it. But Kathleen Kennedy's, Rian Johnson's, J.J. Abrams. It's a lot, and again, law of unintended consequences. All right, no one thought or would ever expect some pathological weirdo would come up with Obi-Wan and Leia. Okay, but now we got people on Twitter doing it, and it's morally offensive, in my opinion. Okay, but because of Twitter, because of Tumblr, and because of the internet, this is what we have. And no one that has a brain that works for Disney and Lucasfilm intended this. I'm sure Ewan McGregor's like, what? He didn't intend it. Oh, I agree, Maze. I really, really do. But it's one of those things where the weirdos are out there and they're not ashamed of themselves. They're not hiding in the shadows like they used to. Okay? Next time you see a teacher complaining about not being able to tell her students about her wife, and you look at her and she looks like a questionable human being, ask a question. Why is she teaching little kids? Why isn't she working at a university? Why is she teaching little kids? I know why. She's a groomer. She is grooming those kids. Okay. And if they get 5% of them, hell, they've been successful. Now you think about that. Now we've got this shit with Kenobi. All right. And I'm going to repeat myself to Maze. You remember the shipping. These people shipped Luke and Han. They shipped Han and Lando. They shipped, I mean, I've seen fanfics where they ship Luke and Wedge. Ugh. I mean, they ship, well, and this was intended by Ryan Johnson, Holdo and Leia. And I'm sure they probably shipped Leia and Winter. Okay. There are groups of people out there where straight sex to them is gross, where it's not natural, and they've been told that by their professors. That we breeders are the bad guys. Okay? I've been told that. I've been called that by a radical homosexual. And then I called him every name, nasty epithet I could think of because he deserved it. Okay, look, you can act like that, you're gonna get it in spades. Okay, and now we've got this, and I'm sure the big shill sites, Eckhart's Ladder, Geetzley's, and all the rest of them won't address this. Star Wars Theory might, but they won't. And if they did, they'll apologize. Because that's what they do. But as far as the stuff with Ryan Johnson, like I said last night, it is nothing more than a troll. And he wants back into Star Wars. I don't think he probably has anything to do right now. Okay? And, he sees there aren't any feature films coming out in the franchise. He wants it. His problem is that, and I'm going to say this, that I think Kathleen Kennedy is on her way out, and I think it's sooner rather than later. I want you guys to remember that when Doomcock puts out a video screaming about all the reported hell she's raining down on Indiana Jones 5. And the disrespect being shown to Harrison Ford with videos like that. Our community is really tough on that guy, and it really bothers me. They'll kiss, the Scientologist Tom Cruise's ass. But Harrison Ford, who's every bit the badass and more as Tom Cruise is, gets shit on. And I'll never understand it. He's been called stupid by big channels. The man was basically going to college for philosophy. He was going to be a professor. He's not stupid. All right? And it kind of makes you wonder why. Why? Is it because you guys think he hates Han Solo? I think actions speak louder than words. He didn't have to come back for the Rise of Skywalker, did he? Think about it. And if this is my question for Doomy, if he's watching, if you honestly think, that Harrison Ford would allow anything like this that you're talking about to happen to that character, you've lost your mind. And again, you're being disrespectful. Look, there are a lot of the fans on our side honestly do think Kathleen Kennedy is the big boogeyman, despite losing projects, despite yeah, and you're right there, Seaman. Despite disappearing for 40 days on a vacation that no one in her position would be able to take. All right. Why? And people wonder why I see her name in executive production and I don't care anymore. It doesn't bother me. If the show's good, it doesn't bother me. Okay? Because she's had her time. The song by the Scorpions, Winds of Change, she's in the past, she's in the rearview mirror already. Okay? Now, we may get the Acolyte. Valiant Renegade talked about her. There's a rumor of a deal that was made so she could at least have one streaming show before she goes. Is Disney even going to hold up their end of the bargain? All right. Again, next week is coming. and we make it a sad announcement about that. But still, you know, if and you got to remember, Bob Chapek is not against a one and done. Yeah, I know that. And look, a lot of these guys know a lot more than they're saying. Okay? They know a lot more than they're saying. And, you know, and they're not talking about Favreau like he's only there to produce streaming stuff. All right? And I really think that he's going to take over Lucasfilm. All right? I mean, there's a reason why Pablo Hidalgo doesn't follow Dave. He doesn't follow anybody on his public. And he doesn't follow them on his private account. Why? One has to wonder. You know, was he told, leave us alone? You know, here's the deal. There are big shakeups coming. There has to be. Okay. You know, and I'll tell you something. I just saw a story. Hey, Dave. I just saw a story about Disneyland or Disney World that now that the summer's winding down, it's empty now. Okay? That is what's going to shake up Disney. That is what is going to cause a lot of this woke shit to go away. First off, it doesn't earn any money. Second of all, it drives people away. Third of all, can't afford it anymore. All right? And I don't know if Maze is still here, but he and I talked about this a lot. All right? I mean, you could go over and over on what we know, and it always comes up, in my opinion, something is going down. Okay? Something is going down. And despite the fear mongers and the rage porn channels feelings, it's not what they think it is. Okay, Kennedy can still be an executive producer or even a producer on Indy 5 and not be the president of Lucasfilm. There's nothing in the world that has to make her that you know what I'm saying? And really, I look at Ryan Johnson trying to save what little dignity he has and defend himself. You know, I think they all know something's happening. I mean, look, who's been quiet through this whole time? The one I call the gateway drug. J.J. Abrams. He hasn't said a fucking word. Okay? He hasn't said a fucking word. Now, do I believe that he and Ryan Johnson hate each other? Yes and no. I think he saw Ryan's script, and I don't think he said anything about it because JJ's a pussy and he wouldn't. Okay. Why do I think they do hate each other? Rise of Skywalker repudiated everything in TLJ. Okay. Now, did it do it in the way it should have? No. How do you repute TLJ? Make Rey Kyle Ron's sister. Okay. Don't give him any redemption. Don't have Han come back in an imagination from Leia when she's dying and forgive that piece of shit. No, he doesn't deserve it. You repudiate TLJ by having Luke alive. All right. You know, projecting himself the whole time from Tatooine. All right. I mean, that would have been, you know, he's on Tatooine, not on Ahch-To. And there you go. Okay. What's interesting is that a lot of the stuff that would have been in George's George's movies was visually kind of in a lot of these movies. The story was just shit. Okay? The story was just shit. But it's their fault. And J.J. Abrams, let's go back to him, he's got problems. He's lost his Batman animated TV show that he was working on for HBO Max. He's lost another show, I think, for HBO Max and an Apple TV show. And his Black Superman is dead. They're not going to do it. And Zaslav is looking for a way to cut it, to basically end the contract or end the deal with him. JJ's not saying a word. Meanwhile, Ryan Johnson, please give me my trilogy. My heart would be broken. What about all the hearts he broke? I walked out of TLJ bawling. There's a video of me driving and crying. All right. There you go. Okay. I mean, I don't really need to sit and tell you guys how awful that was. Going back home, the idea that this movie that should have fixed what was broken in TFA made it 20 million times worse. Okay, made it worse. And now the little fucker's desperate to excuse himself. Okay? And, you know, he and Kennedy and Pablo Hidalgo, and there's that cesspool of shit, could be blamed for shipping in general. Well, all right, TFA, I was in shock. When Bad Guy did that to Han, there were two old ladies, like, yelled out. I yelled, Chewie, kill the faggot. And as we're walking out at the end of it, two little kids are asking their dad, why did he do that to his father? I'm sure Dad showed them the OT, told them how great Han Solo was, and we're going to see Luke and Leia, and then the fuck, okay? And when you look at TFA, it is not all that in a bag of chips for a story. It's not. It's not a good movie. It's objectively a fucking bad movie. Okay? Look, I'm sorry, but we're talking about Star Wars. Han walks out of Maz Kanata's castle, looks up, and sees Starkiller Base firing whatever at Hosnian Prime. I'm like, you know, you're kind of like, why can't we just have Coruscant? You know? Why can't we just have Coruscant? I mean, first of all, glad they didn't blow up Coruscant. JJ wanted to. I mean, oh yeah, I mean, you know, JJ wanted to blow up Coruscant, and they had to talk him out of it. I mean, Pablo Hidalgo had to talk him out of it. Could you imagine that argument? Two dipshits fighting over a cow chip, a cow patty. And that's about what that is. So we get all the stuff heading out into TLJ and all the speculation, and who's Snoke, is he Plagueis? And I thought for sure he was going to have to be Darth Plagueis. And then Ryan Johnson unceremoniously kills him just to troll the fans. And then his excuse is, well, I really wasn't interested in Snoke. Then why, you little fucktard, are you directing and writing this movie? Oh, we're talking about a lot of different things, Jonathan. You know, I mean, when he says that about Snoke, and I think of that, your Snoke theory sucks, little stickers that Still Saunders sent him and Pablo, and they both asininely, posed with them. I'm like, why are you here? Why? And then we got the Tumblrina shit with Raylo. Okay, they didn't come up with that. No, Ryan Johnson did not come up with that. He went on to, look, The Last Jedi was a combination of asinine writing and getting cues from Twitter and Tumblr. That's all it was. Okay? That's all it was. And then Ryan Johnson, defending what he did to Luke at the end. Saying that really it upheld Star Wars, and he became a symbol of the galaxy. Luke Skywalker, he has been a symbol for the galaxy since he blew up the fucking Death Star. Okay. And then my favorite, even more so than what he did to Luke, the stupid fucking gold dice. Yeah, put a one in the chat if you remember those gold dice being anything important in the original trilogy. Because I don't remember it. If you remember, if you don't remember it being, it wasn't. Okay. So why? I don't remember Chewie bumping into them. I think if they were even hanging there, they're so obscure that no one saw them. And it was set dressing. Dave is right. And, so, Luke hands those dice to Leia and said, remember, no one's ever really gone. And he is dying already. And like, first off, fuck you, Ryan Johnson. Fuck you, J.J. Abrams. Fuck you both. I don't even think they were there. I've got the original. Dave sent me the unaltered theatrical releases in DVD. I don't see them in that. I don't see any dice. So, in my opinion, the dice were pulled out of Ryan Johnson's ass. Okay. Or maybe Pablo convinced him that they were really important. Whatever. Okay, so we get to The Rise of Skywalker, and then it just turns into a fucking fiasco. Where, people are saying, well, JJ and Ryan really do like each other. Watch The Rise of Skywalker, and you think, no. If Jon Favreau had done the sequel trilogy, they would have done what George wanted. All right. He would have convinced Iger, it's got to be this way. You have to do it this way. Okay. And it would have been fine. Look, all they had to do was do what George wanted, and they would have been fine. And they decided to do the opposite. And this is what they got. Okay. Anyway, we were talking about now people on Twitter are shipping Obi-Wan Kenobi and 10-year-old Leia. I've got a tweet. Mazer sent it to me in a screenshot, and there are more people doing it. Ryan Cannell's having a bird, and this is me. Look, Disney did not purposely allow this. So quit fucking, look, the black pills are going to blame Disney no matter what. Because that's how they make their money, right? Here's the deal. Disney did not intend for people to ship old Obi-Wan Kenobi and 10-year-old Leia. Did not. These are the laws of unintended consequences. And this shit happens these days, okay? Again, I've talked about it. Mazurus, if he's still here, will pipe in. They've shipped Luke and Han. They've shipped Luke and Lando and Han. They've shipped Luke and Wedge. They've shipped Lando, Han, and Leia. Jessie Milestone has a friend who did a fanfic, and she loved it. And I'm like, this is not how the fandom should be. Okay? That is gross. And it's filthy, disgusting. It's not titillating. It's stomach and vomit inducing. Okay? These are the laws of unintended consequences. All right? I don't think any author Vince Flynn, he wrote before he died. Coolest guy I've ever met. Wrote the Mitch Rapp series. He created Mitch Rapp, he created Scott Coleman, Stan Hurley, all these great characters. And I can imagine some radical gay guy or straight Karen and basically saying that, well, Mitch and Scott should be a thing. Well, yeah, and look. First off, Mark is a radical lefty. He's nuts. Okay, I've disavowed him and his fucking politics, but he almost can't really say anything. Again, I'll say this again. We live in a world where men just can't be friends anymore. If they're friends, they're fags with each other. Women can't just be friends anymore. If they're friends, they're dykes together. Okay? And now we've got Obi-Wan Kenobi can't go and rescue the 10-year-old Princess Leia without some weird shit going on. Because, pedophiles are human too or something like that, which, just because you have human DNA doesn't make you human if you're going to treat kids like that. All right? Okay? Again, there's only one way to deal with them. Hollow points. Okay? Only one way to deal with people like that. We live in a world where parents don't want, groomers teaching their kids, and again, public schools are far worse for pedophilia among adults than Catholic schools are. All right, far more teachers and administrators who work in public schools have been arrested for child molestation than ever has been in the Catholic Church. And I'm going to say this. In fact, I was actually thinking about writing a movie script about it. A lot of the priests that were arrested, chased out of the ministry, were innocent. Okay, look, once the witch hunt begins, doesn't matter. And I'm going to tell you something else. I think that there's an active gay cabal that went after the Catholic Church, because the Catholic Church teaches that homosexuality is a mortal sin. There you go. One of the guys running for governor here in Pennsylvania opened up old wounds by reinvestigating the Archdiocese of Harrisburg. Stuff that happened 50 years ago that was already adjudicated. All right? It's bigotry. It's political political grandstanding, and its intent. Its intent is to destroy. Meanwhile, we got people at our public schools who go after little kids all the time, right? All the time, far more many. And again, the rule of thumb is a predator is an animal of opportunity, and they put themselves where they can find their prey, which is public schools, scouting, ministries of any kind, play in theme parks, places in zoos, okay, places like Disney World, all right. And it's not Disney's fault. You could say, hey, you guys got to do better at hiring people, and I'm sure they've talked about it, all right. But still, again, the laws of unintended consequences. You're making things. You made a beautiful show about a princess being rescued by an old Jedi, and now you've got people who really should be in prison shipping them. They didn't mean for that to happen, it just did. Because these people have a place to go, and that is Twitter. All right? They're not going to get chased off Twitter. They're not going to get arrested. They're going to get away with it. All right? The person who did it, the one tweet I saw, he privated his account, he protected it. Now, he can't be brought out to the open to have his ass kicked on Twitter. All right. He knows look. And the reason why he put himself into private mode is because he knew he was wrong. And he knew what he said was going to bring down the house. And there was another guy who didn't do that, who's obviously not aware of the evil that he spoke. All right? All right. And again, Disney did not mean to have this happen. It just did, because this is the world we live in. But as far as back to Ryan Johnson, John Boyega actually really has taken J.J. Abrams to task. All right, and I think Boyega was done dirty by both Ryan Johnson and J.J. And J.J.'s been quiet. Why? Because he's losing everything right now. Anyway, this is Steph. I'm losing my voice. I'll see you around the galaxy. Be safe.